Previously on Off the Top Rope.
Poor old Alpha Jr. dislocated his hips because somebody didn't catch him because he did a backflip off the top rope and things like that. It was madness. That was the best part. Notwithstanding the fact that when we started the show, I was probably about half an hour into a very, very serious hangover. A very serious hangover, because no, I'm not going to bury people. Myself and five other guys, they know who they are. Started drinking at about 9 o'clock the night before, and we stopped when they started serving breakfast.
Nice.
The next morning. So yeah. They're like, "Welcome to Wrestlemania 3," and I'm like,
Jesus
okay,
Christ,
it's starting to happen now. And I'm most proud of that. I'm most proud of that work.
Good.
Yeah.
You know yourself that if you put in that amount of work and it's a success, you know you've done the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if one person just says, "Hey, Lama, hold on," that means everything.
Yeah.
You don't have to get praise from every single promoters in England. You don't go to "Oh, thank you so much for the show," because it looks like you're ass kissing. But Wrestlemania is on a different level than an indie show in the UK. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not going to go out to what's his name and go, "Oh, listen, thanks for them 60 people. That's fantastic. Cheers." You know what I mean? I ain't doing that. But if it was like say, Wrestlemania 3, that kind of crowd for the majority for the media work that you did, it's an old Barry Horowitz thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And you know what? The moment I think everybody knew that the show was going to be a success is in the morning when we went out to where the ring was set up and the stage was set up and everything, like it's a pot of dolphins, because it was literally from where I'm sitting 30 meters and you're in the ocean. So it was like literally right on the beach. And the morning of the show, a pot of dolphins had swum past where the ring was up and up around the promenade and down the other side carried on swimming. So, and a lot of people turned around and said, "Hey, that hasn't happened in a while." So, that happened, and Mark turned around and said, "You know what, we're going to have a good show. We are going to have a good show."
Does that sound a good look?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm from Johannesburg. I mean, they talk about the concrete jungle. Johannesburg has been compared to Los Angeles. The only difference between Los Angeles and Johannesburg is the ocean. That's the only difference between the two. And seeing that, I love Port Elizabeth. I really do. If Mark said move down, I'd move down in a heartbeat. I love that place, and I love the people, and I give the people a lot of shit, and they give me back a lot of shit. But that's the game.
Good.
That's the game. But after the show, even after all of that stuff, and I've done my heel stuff, and I've called Port Elizabeth the armpit of South Africa, and it's only so windy because the old people fart all the time because that's all that's here and everything like it. They come up to me afterwards and they say, "Hey man, that was great. Good. What more do you want?
You've done your job. What
more do you want? Exactly.
You know yourself as a professional wrestler. You don't self-praise. You get the praise from your peers and your colleagues and the boys and ladies. But I guess there was. I'll ask you a question. Was there a point when you were doing Wrestlemania 3 when you stood there and thought, "I've done this," like a proud moment, like this is something I wanted to achieve. This is, fuck yeah, there we go.
When the show finished, we had a South African performer called Kurt Darren.
Right.
That was there. He's a big South African singer. I'll introduce you to stuff. We can hate him together. He was singing on the stage, and all the wrestlers were in the ring, signing cards and throwing out to the audience, and just saying thank you to the crowd and everything like this. And I walked up the ramp, and Kurt Darren was singing, and I turned around and I looked, at the ring. And everybody was in the ring and the crowd was singing with Kurt Darren and things like this. And I just waved like this. I just waved like this. And people didn't cheer, but they clapped.
Yeah.
They looked at my direction and they clapped. Now, Kurt Darren wasn't standing next to me. He was standing on the other side of the ring. He was standing, sorry, not the ring, the ramp, singing.
Yeah.
And I waved to the crowd and they clapped. And I said, that's it. That's the moment. And I went to the back. I went to the back. I got changed out of my suits. I put on a pair of shorts and a t-shirt and flip-flops. And I took my bag and that was it. I didn't get changed with the rest of the guys and wait for them to finish. My stuff had been done. I got everything. Yeah. I got everything that I could have gotten out of that show right at that point. And that was the most content that I've been. And I went to KFC and got myself a Colonel burger and chips. And I sat and I didn't sit with the boys. I didn't sit with the boy. I met up with the boys an hour later at the hotel. Yeah. And I just processed everything.
Had that moment to yourself.
That's it, man.
That's cool.
Yeah. So Wrestlemania.
It's moments like that you'll remember.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And man, some of the guys were hard. I'm not gonna lie to you, some of the guys were hard on me. Because at that stage, I was in sort of shape. But I wasn't in proper wrestling shape. And I told some of the international guys that I wrestle, and the one Samoan guy looks at me and goes, "No, you don't." And the local guys were like, "Yeah, man, he wrestles. This is how I started, but he's a wrestler." And Brody Still turned around and said to me, he said, you are in no shape to be a professional wrestler. The Samoans, they looked at me, they went, "No, sorry, you're not." And
can I jump in?
Yeah.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Was Yokozuna in shape to wrestle?
I beg your pardon?
So was Yokozuna in shape ever to wrestle?
Oh man, no, he wasn't.
Was Rikishi ever in shape to wrestle?
Hey, listen, Rikishi could do some awesome things.
Hey, listen, I'm just going down the Samoan.
Yeah. I get you.
Was Afa and Sika ever in shape to wrestle? Did they look like wrestlers?
No, they don't look like wrestlers.
It's someone's perception, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't walk down the street and go, "Oh," people don't go, "Oh, I bet you're a wrestler." It's different. That's the beauty about wrestling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've got to admit for this, I'd be offended if I travelled all that way and someone then looked at me and went, "No, you're not a wrestler." Because I'd go, "Right, let's get in the ring. Let's shoot. Let's see who can wrestle." Because for me, I can back it up.
Yeah.
But there are people out there that can't. But if someone was to say to me, "Oh, you don't look like a wrestler," okay, well, there's only one way to prove it. You know what I mean?
Fair
and
enough.
It's not being disrespectful. It's not being horrible. It's not being rude. But I'd find that offensive.
I was offended. I was offended for a while, but I'm the type of person that uses that as fuel.
Fair play.
And after that, I said to myself, I said, I'm gonna use that because that's not fair on me because I put in so much work into it. And I'd been wrestling for a good 7-8 years there. I thought that I was pretty good.
Yeah.
In terms of how I could move and things like that. But, it put a lit of fire under me. Yeah. And it said to me, "You know what? I've reached a point now where I'm going to start proving to people what I can do." Yeah. And
that's the only way you can do.
I used it as fuel. And I got better. And I started losing weight and I started getting into the gym and I started doing all these things. And Mark noticed it. Mark noticed it because he was there for some of those conversations. And Wrestle Monster 3 was, I can pinpoint that specific time in my wrestling career where my mindset changed. And I started putting in the work, and my matches started getting better. And my in-ring persona started getting better. And the whole loudmouth thing really started to take shape. And 2 years later, Mark turned around and said to me, he said, Don, at the next Wrestle Monster, which turned out to be Champions of War, he turned around and said to me, he says, "What, we're gonna do a rumble? You're gonna win the rumble, and you're gonna be All Africa champion." I said, "Oh, that's great." He said, "You know what? You don't deserve it. You've earned it.
Good.
You've earned it."
Well put, Mark.
That's people give Mark an incredible amount of shit for the things that Mark's a promoter and an owner of the company. And when you work with professional wrestlers, you deal with ego all the time. I've got an ego.
Oh yeah.
You've got an ego. Everybody's got an ego. And he gets a lot of shit for some of the decisions that he's made, and I'll give him shit for some of the decisions that he's made in the past.
Yeah.
But then he's gone and made me All Africa champion. He's given me off the top rope. You know, how can I be negative and say something bad about Mark when he's given me so much opportunity to be myself?
That's the thing. Like he's giving you the ball and chain. You go run with it now.
Exactly, because everybody thinks that the loudmouth is a personality and Donovan is a personality, and that's true.
Yeah,
because you're a professional wrestler and you've got a personal life. But the loudmouth is Donovan with the filter off and the volume turned up to 11. That's the loudmouth. You take that notch back down to 10 and you've got Donovan. Just simple as that.
Yeah.
And he said, there's your personality.
I agree.
Yeah, there's your personality. Just click it up when it's time to click it up, dial it back when it's time to dial it back. But there's your opportunity. Do with it what you will. I can't give it. I can't say a bad thing about it.
That's the thing, but you've run with it though. That's the thing. Like you've taken that and gone, all right, cool, let's go with it. And that's great because look how successful it's been.
Yeah. It's like a successful up into a point. And I'm happy about the success that it's got, and all the people that I've interviewed have brought me along to that point. But damn, I still get offended when I introduce myself and people are like, "Yeah, no, I don't want an interview."
Why?
It still irks me.
Why?
Okay, Moose asked for $150 up front.
Oh, wait a minute. I might misheard there. Are you saying when you ask people to do the Loudmouth Presents?
Yeah.
And they want money for it?
No, I don't mind if guys ask for money for it, especially the international guys, because of.
Oh shit! Well, I'll send you the invoice later.
Moose, I understand where Moose was coming from, because in Impact Wrestling, Moose works he doesn't work on a 3-year contract. He works on a 6-month contract at a time.
Yeah.
And he renews that contract. So at any time, TNA can say, all right, Moose, that's it. You got 6 months and that's it. So in terms of that, Moose was like, well, I got no guarantee from Impact. This is kind of how I make my living. So for him to say it's $150, I got a little upset, but I understood. But then I approached Impact Wrestling. I'm gonna put a caveat in this one. Impact Wrestling doesn't have a good reputation in a South African market.
Okay.
Now I know you don't like Impact, or you don't watch Impact. I don't, But
can I explain why?
Why?
Right. So the storyline a while ago at the wedding, and someone was shot.
Yeah, okay.
Says it all. When
Yeah.
you have and it's not meant to sound sexist, when you have a female winning the men's heavyweight title, says it all.
Okay, all right. Well, I understand that. I'm a big fan of Impact Wrestling. In fact, if you had to put, if you had to put WWE and AEW and Impact Wrestling on at the same time, and you said, Donovan, you have to watch a wrestling show, I would turn it on to Impact.
No, why?
I would.
Why?
I like the variety in terms of the wrestlers. Because you can't have a wrestling program where every wrestler sounds like a tennis score. 6'1", 6'2", 6'1", 6'3", 6'4", that's a tennis score.
Yeah.
They've got guys like Fala Bar, who's 400 pounds, wrestles like he's 250.
Yeah, he's decent, to be fair.
He's very good. They've got guys like Chris Bay and Ace Austin.
Yeah.
And Rohit Raju, guys that are phenomenal wrestlers. They've got Eric Young.
I'm surprised Chris Bay didn't go. I'm surprised Chris Bay didn't go to AEW.
I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised, and I'll tell you why.
No, because go on.
AEW at the moment is signing left, right, and center. They're signing everybody and their uncles. They're sitting with a problem when they get to taping because there's only a certain amount of time they can put wrestlers on, but they've got 70 wrestlers, 70 wrestlers in the back, hoping
that they've got a spot.
Hoping that they've got a spot.
But that's why Dark is so match heavy. There's like 16 matches on Dark at one point.
Exactly.
And they're 6 to 8 minutes each. It's too much. Too much.
Sometimes it's okay to have a short match. Sometimes it's okay to have a long match. But when every match is 7 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 8 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes, 7 minutes.
That adds up.
Thank you. You know, and every match of the 7 matches, there's a dive, there's a somersault, there's a DDT, somebody goes through the ropes, there's a submission, there's a super kick. You know, somebody kicks out of a finisher and gets pinned with a roll up.
The thing that annoys me is that people don't talk anymore. People only do. People, from my experience on shows, and I worked for Impact. I helped out with the UK tour in 2015, 2016, and back then they had like the talent of like Bully Ray, Devon, Hogan, Sting, Angle, all the big when TNA hits its peak. But no one spoke about matches. No one's like the art of going, hey guys, what are you doing in your match? Anything? Like in Germany, what they do is they'll sit down in front of the boys, and the promoter or the booker or both will just say, right, we'll start with the main event. You tell us what you want to protect, and then we'll whittle it down to the bottom. Now, sometimes some matches that are, you know, the old curtain jerkers, they get like 2 moves.
Yeah.
But then, with no offense given, there's a reason why you're there. You know what I mean? You're there to hype the crowd, get the crowd buzzing. I'm not the biggest fan of TNA. You know this.
Yeah.
I can't get the writing. I don't get the storylines. Nothing makes sense. And like I said, when you bring a gun to a wedding, it's a wrestling show. I'm not watching wrestling to see someone get shot. Do you know what I mean? Like a whodunit kind of thing. That's not wrestling for me. Whereas like with AEW, when they first started doing their shows, it was pure wrestling. It was all indie wrestling, and it was really cool. Then he got national TV. Then it started going down the pan in regards to storylines and shit skits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I can understand where I can understand how you like TNA, because the wrestlers draw you in.
That's it.
And that's what we're there to do.
Yeah. And like I say, if you put WWE, okay, not NXT, because NXT is a different kettle of fish. If you put
Yes.
a WWE and AEW and Impact Wrestling on at the same time, I will take Impact Wrestling.
Fair enough.
And
that's why wrestling's so stereotypical. Stereotypes.
Yeah, yeah. So I do like it. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought Wrestle House was light and funny, and it didn't take itself too seriously. Which sometimes wrestling takes itself too seriously.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need a New Day, or you need on AEW Dynamite. They did the thing with Hangman Page riding on the lawnmower, and all the Dark Order climbed on the lawnmower. And, who's up for ice cream?
Yeah.
And everybody went off. And 5 was standing on the side there. 5 looks like he'll order rum and raisin ice cream and pick out all the raisins.
Yeah.
He just looks like that type of guy. And
do you know what? You speak about the Dark Order. They had who's the little one? Is it John Silver?
10.
John Silver.
10's John Silver.
Yeah. And Alex Reynolds. And they did a live signing. And they said, if anyone's got any questions, shoot them forward. So I said, obviously being a wrestler, I was like, how come you guys were assigned numbers before being given names?
Yeah.
And they both turned around and they went, we have no clue. That's what we were told to do. So that's what we did. And I'm like, what a shit story. Like, come on, give me something like, like Mum said, it was my dad's birthday, it was my granddad's birthday, it was my wife's birthday. So, accumulate, they give me the number 10. Boom, that's the story. But they both looked at the camera and went, we don't know.
We don't know. But I think in terms of the Dark Order, it works. I don't know why it works. It works with the Dark Order.
Can I be honest?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't see anything in the Dark Order. They've primarily just been pushed because of the passing of Brody Lee. That's the only reason that they are in that spot. They would have been in that spot with Brody Lee as a heel faction.
Yeah.
But because someone's passed, and it's horrible because I would have loved to have met Brody Lee.
Yeah.
But the guys there can't. They almost like they don't live up. Colt Cabana should be bracket easily. Right. Oh, John Silver, AEW champion. You don't go, Alex Reynolds, TNT champion. It's not like that. And I just, it's there's too many factions in AEW. There's too many factions.
Yeah.
Don't need it.
Another question. Yeah, no, I get you. Another question that was asked, and this one, I hope you get to answer for me, because they asked who's my favorite South African wrestler, and why is it Anansi or Johnny Palazzo? And the truth of the matter is, it's not. It's not either of them. Now, Anansi trained me. Anansi went to Booker T school, brought that knowledge back, and he trained me. I'm very thankful to Anansi for giving me the opportunity when I was a fat kid to learn how to wrestle. I haven't wrestled Johnny Palazzo yet, but I've seen his matches, I've seen him live, and I've seen tapes of him. He's very, very good. One day, him and I are going to have great matches. Neither of them are my favorite South African wrestler. And I'll tell you why. My favorite South African wrestler is Terry Madu. It'll always be Terry Madu.
Okay.
For the simple fact is Terry did very little in terms of moves in the ring, but he could tell a hell of a story.
That's what you want.
with an ice cream stick,
Yeah.
a pump handle slam, and a clothesline.
Yeah.
And for somebody, and hey, Terry is a judoka. He did Swiss wrestling. He did sumo wrestling. He is well versed in combat sports. But for somebody to be as hated as him, and all he did in the ring was use a taped ice cream stick, a body slam,
Yeah.
a clothesline, and he used to finish guys off with a pump handle slam. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. And every time I wrestled Terry Madu, and I wrestled him 7 times, I learned something new.
Then did you learn? I was gonna say, if you learned, you know, something each time, and then that's all you want, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
As long as you keep learning, as long as you're on that learning tree, each time you wrestle, it's gone.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. I got a message from a potential trainee who wants to come through. He said, I need to get in the ring. He says, I need to train because I need to get in the ring by the end of the year.
Yeah.
It took me just on 2 years to get my first match. And my first match wasn't in my own promotion. My first match was in another promotion because the day before they were supposed to have a match. The guy got injured at practice.
Okay.
And they phoned Ananzi and said, hey, listen here, Ananzi, we need a guy. Well, sorry, all my guys are booked except for the commentator, which was me. Well, we need somebody. Can he wrestle? Well, he can take a bump. We'll use him. And I went 400 kilometers down the road. I wrestled at a biker rally, the first match.
400 kilometers? That's not down the road. That's halfway around the world.
Hey, listen, 400, what my friend and I used to do on a Friday was we used to drive down to Durban, which is 562 kilometers, drive through the night, watch the sunrise in Durban, go for drinks on the beach, and then drive the afternoon back without sleep. So 400 kilometers for me is nothing. I went down, I wrestled in a yellow shirt. John Cena, eat your heart out. I wrestled in a yellow shirt, in brown cargo shorts, and Reebok basketball tackies, because I didn't have proper gear.
Wow.
Because I wasn't wrestling yet. And I wrestled the first match in front of 5,000 bikers.
Nice.
And I commentated the rest of the show, and we drove back. That was my first match.
How good of a story is that, mate?
Dude, it was great because I love bikers. Because bikers, if you are with them, it's the camaraderie and things like that. But it was awesome because I went, yeah, everybody who drives a Yamaha, yeah, everybody who drives a Honda, yeah, everybody who drives a Suzuki, yeah, and I went beep 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 beep, mocking them. Dude, I'm standing. Sorry,
I was going to say, see, if that was me, I in my entrance, I'd come out on a moped.
I couldn't find one big enough. I was still 150 kilograms.
Don't worry.
So I'm standing there. I'm commentating the next match.
Yeah.
And I'm standing in the crowd and I'm commentating, and there's bikers behind me. And the one guy's, and as I'm commentating, the one guy's in, Suzuki drivers, I'm going to hurt you. I drive a Suzuki. I'm going to get you after this. I don't have to commentate. I have to be straight and commentate.
Yeah.
And this guy's in the ear going, I'm going to hurt you. 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 I'm like, I was born to do this. I was born to do this. And I'd never look back. I didn't look back.
Yeah.
That was great.
Stories.
I love it.
It's all stories, though. Memories, good memories.
We are okay. I've got next week. Next week I've got another guy from Cape Town. The week after that, I got Joel Gertner. The week after that, I got PJ Black. Then it's
Nice.
Easter. After Easter, myself and Ananzi, I need to still arrange it, but this is the plan. Ananzi and I are going to get together because we've traveled this country up and down, left and right, inside, outside, in every freaking back hole that you can find in South Africa.
Yeah.
We've probably been there wrestling, and we're going to tell some road stories because there are some
Nice.
road stories. There's some road stories out there. Obviously, not everything's for consumption.
No.
But the ones that are less PG are going to stay. Maybe we'll put one in. But every time we've gone on a tour, we've had a problem with the trailer. Every time we've gone on tour, somebody's gone missing. And a lot of those stories are going to start coming out because
Nice.
it's one thing to be on a show. You go to the show, you do the show, you come back. It's nice. Tea's nice. Aunt Mildred's nice. But then you get a show like Ellis Ross in 2014, where I wrestle, I dislocate my knee 4 minutes into a 20-minute match. I've got to drive home with the dislocated knee straight to the hospital, and I can't fit into the MRI machine because I'm still too big for the thing.
Jeez.
People need to hear that story. So there's some of the things that are going to come out, and obviously some of the things that you can't.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Exactly. Speaking of that, I know you've traveled Germany, Italy, Spain, all over the place. Give us a road story.
Okay. Which one do I use? Okay, so right. So back in the day when I did the Jack Union gimmick, I tagged with a good mate of mine called the German Eagle, Matthias Brook, and we were booked in Berlin, right? Booked in Berlin, which is about a 5-hour drive from Frankfurt, so it's a fair distance.
Yeah.
However, Matthias and his good lady Nat, they were up in Berlin for their anniversary. So Rook messaged me and he was like, "Hey man, like I've sorted out your trains, I've sorted out your pickups, everything's all sorted. We will get you at Berlin train station, at this point in time."
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool, no worries, I can do that. I'm pretty well traveled. It was my first proper kind of single travel by myself in Germany to navigate around. So I had like a stop by stop plan. So I had to fly into Frankfurt, Main, which is a huge airport. Then I had to go downstairs underneath, get the train. And the first thing that the Rook said was, you need to go to Frankfurt Main train station. So I was like, okay, cool, no worries. So I get in the train, and there is, oh God, there's barely anywhere to move. It's packed. So I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So I get in this train, and the person over the antenna says, "Oh, next stop, Frankfurt Main." I was like, shit, that was quick. So I'm the only person that gets off it. Now, I'm told that Frankfurt Main is huge, massive. There's hundreds of people. I get off, and I'm the only person there.
Right.
Right. Okay. Because what my friend didn't tell me was there are 2 Frankfurt Mains. Right.
All right.
So there is a Frankfurt am Main and a Frankfurt Main.
Yeah.
So I get off and I got my bags and I'm looking around. I'm thinking, this is big time. Look at me, I'm just by myself. I suddenly click on that I can't read German. I don't understand German. And I've got to navigate another train to get to Frankfurt Main. So I was like, right, okay. So I had a look around this train station and there was a guy selling beer. So I was like, right, fuck it. I'm just going to get a beer. I'm going to relax. I've got aches of time. No problem. So I'll go around. I said, "Oh, hey man, can I get a beer?" And he goes, "You English?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Fuck off." was like, oh, okay. I was like, do you know where the next train is? And he went, don't talk to me, fuck off. Right? And he was the only person around. There was no one else around. And I was
Okay.
like,
All right.
shit. I'm panicking. I've got an old Nokia like 5210 that doesn't work abroad, and I'm trying to ring, it ain't working. I'm stuck. I am lost as you won't believe.
Yeah.
So I look I go back under the bridge, I go back up onto the train station, and I look on the train terminal and the times and shit like that, and he says, "Oh, next train is in like 10 minutes." Wicked good, boom, get on. So I get on, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to be on the train or not.
Yeah.
And I was like, but it's going straight to Berlin. There's no kind of bypass. And they're like, oh no, you need to go off at Frankfurt Main, and then you need to get on another train to get to Berlin.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. So I get on this train. I'm kind of thinking, right, I'm kind of all right now. Get to Frankfurt Main. And Frankfurt Main's like Piccadilly Circus. It is huge. It is massive. There's hundreds of people walking around. There's trains galore. It's massive.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I need to find my train. So I look on the board, you get the train, boom, walk down. And there's a train already there saying Berlin. So I was like, oh, right, well, my train isn't until 10:30. This one's here at 10:10. If I can get the 10:10, I'll get in there early, which gives me a bit of a chance to get a beer at the end.
Yeah.
So I asked the conductor, and I was like, can I get on this train? He was like, yeah, fine, you can go on it. I was like, okay, cool, sweet. So I go in, and I sit in one of these like old school carriages. You know, where they have the sliding doors, and there's two seats.
Yeah.
Like you see the films. So I'm sat there, and I'm sat opposite this guy who didn't speak a lick of English, and the conductor comes down the aisle and tickets please, and I'm like, oh shit, here we go. So I give her my details, and she was like, English? I was like, yeah. She was like, you can't be on this train. And I was like,
okay.
What do you mean? She's like, oh, well, your train is at past, not at 10 past.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, but I explained to the conductor, could I get on the earlier train? And he said, yes. She's like, oh, but it's fully booked. And I'm sat within distance of two chairs that are empty.
Yeah.
She was like, you have to get off at the next station. I was like, I'm not being funny. I've already been to 3 stations already. I can't keep jumping off. So she says, look, you can pay, I think it was $72, €72. The ticket itself for everything was 55. I was like, I'm not paying that. I'm not doing that. So she left, and this guy that was sat opposite me with his paper, and he got his paper down, and he went, fucking Germans. And then lifted his paper back up again. And that's all he said. And he was German. And I just sat laughing. So I got off the train, and I ended up in this random place. It was a car park. There was a girl on drugs, and she was walking around everywhere. She was entertaining value at all. And I managed to get eventually on the right train that I had. However, in Germany, when you book a train, your name is above your seat.
Yeah.
So you know where to sit.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, oh, what name did you put me under? Has you put Jack Union? Has you put Chris? Like, I couldn't find it. So I just sat down in a chair, and I was asleep for about 3 hours because I was shattered.
Yeah.
And then we were maybe about an hour from Berlin, and this woman like shook me. There was literally no one else in this carriage. She went, oh, that's my seat. You need to move. And I was like, I'm not being funny, darling. I'm tired. There is 100 different seats in this carriage. You can just choose any other you want. Just let me fucking sleep. She's like, no, I paid for it. And her name was like above where I was sat. So I just laid on the floor of the train and slept because I'd had enough. Then I missed the Berlin main train station and ended up at the end of the line, which was 10, 15 minutes. So I, at some point, I got there, and I remember there was a Dunkin' Donuts, and my text, like the text just started to work, and Rook was like, "Oh, where are you, man? Where are you?" I was like, "I'm outside Dunkin' Donuts. I'm here. I've made it." He was like, "No, you're not." I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "There's no Dunkin' Donuts in Berlin." He goes, "Where the fuck are you?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, I really don't know." Because I think you're at the end of the line. We'll come and get you. There's a subway. We'll come and get you, and we'll be 10 minutes.
Yeah.
45 minutes later, they arrive, and they pick me up, and we have to go back to Berlin Main to then get on the tram to go to a hotel to check in, and then we literally get to the show, and it was some of the European champions of wrestling, right?
Yeah.
And we got there, and we were just there before they started letting people in. And
wow.
to this day, I will never go on a train ever again. Not even in England. I hate public transport. I use the tram. We've got a tram where we live.
Yeah.
And I got the tram the other week because my car wasn't great. And I got here, and my wife was like, "How have you got back?" I was like, "I used the tram." She's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I would have walked, but it was like 8-10 miles."
Wow.
I was like, "Yeah, I got the tram." And she was like, "Christ, you feeling okay?" I hate public transport. With planes are fine because I can't do that any other way.
Yeah.
But I hate public transport. If I've got a car, if I can get myself there, that's it.
Awesome, man. This has been great. Before we go, one last thing. In one of your Facebook lives, you said the barracks is going to be opening 17th of May. Is that still a possibility?
Yes. For your viewers, your listeners, we've been MIA in the wrestling world since last April, when we had the first official lockdown, and we've been shut since. We then were told the other week that in England we've got a roadmap, so we've got like a few dates. So the 29th of March is when certain things come back. 12th of April is when gyms go back. 17th of April is where we can start training, and 21st of June pubs. So we've got a roadmap out of COVID, which is the first bit of good news that we've had in a year. All right. And all my guys at the barracks who have stuck with the barracks through thick and thin, the guys have continually helped by paying certain parts of their subs to keep the barracks open, because so many schools have shut, and I mean for good. We've had a little bit of help from the government, but that is about it. So we're kind of on our own now, and we keep paying rent, and we're staying. We just want that day to come, that 17th of May. And I've told everyone's coming down. We're just gonna, bump around. So we're gonna have a bit of fun. I have some really unique drills that they'll enjoy, some new stuff, because as a wrestling coach, I like to look at different, trainers and different styles. But yeah, 17th of May is the official date that we can return towards, unless there is something else that happens. Now, in England, we have a 5-week review as well. I'm not sure about if it's like that in South Africa. So we have to wait until 29th of March for the next kind of announcement. They may bring it forward, like, cases have dropped ridiculously. Deaths, thank God, have dropped ridiculously low. I think we were in double figures the other day, which is the first time in months. Now, it's horrific that people have died, and I'm sorry, and my thoughts go out to their families. But as a business owner, selfishly, that all needs to just be taken care of now.
That's it.
And once that's done, and people are safe. There was talk loud about us starting on the 12th of April, which is when gyms go back. But under the regulations, we have to be filming a live production each month in order to do it, because it's under the arts and entertainment license, which we don't have, so we can't do it. So like you were saying, you've got your 24 episodes, you're going to have a few weeks off and then another season. We could do that if we had the right, if we had like a TV right or something like that, but we don't, so we can't. So we have to go by the rules set by our government. Obviously, there is no wrestling union, or there's no governing body. So we have to put ourselves in the elite profession side of the sports that the government then tells us what to do.
Yeah.
It's a long-winded thing, but it's easily explained.
Yeah. Oh no, that was well explained. But
you didn't ask me my favorite South African wrestler as well.
Do you have a favorite South African wrestler?
Danny Vogues.
Oh, yeah. Donnie was great. Donnie, he passed away recently, which is a big shame to South African. He, strangely enough, man, mean Mark Kellis.
Yeah.
Mark comes to South Africa before he cuts his teeth in the E. He comes to South Africa and he is green, boy. Green.
Yeah.
And he comes here and he starts wrestling and things like that. Furchus pulls him to the side. He says, "Listen, yeah, you got to get some. You got to do something, man." He says, "Well, all I've got is my heart. Literally, it was literally like I think a year and a half into his training. Furchus took him aside. You know those throat thrusts that the Undertaker did early in his career? That was Donnie Furchus.
I just like his look. Like I love the fact that his knee pads were just under his kneecaps.
Yeah.
There's like, as a wrestler, you protect your wheels, right? We all know this. And watching Donnie in so many of his matches that I've been able to see, you just think, how are your knees not done?
Yeah.
How?
Do me a favor if you can.
Yeah.
There's a old wrestler in the States called Giant Warrior, gentleman by the name of Jeff Beard. I'm very good friends with him. Him and Donnie Furchus, they were married for about a year.
Okay.
That feud had Furchus and Giant Warrior Jeff Bearden bleeding up and down South Africa. I think the National Blood Service could have gone to one of their matches and filled up their stocks 10 times over. They bled everywhere together. And those matches back in those days, man, you're talking about a place in Johannesburg where people used to stay in the south. The Portuguese Hall could take 1,000 people. They had 2,500 people, 11 Friday nights in a row. 11 Jesus. Friday nights in a row, sellout.
Wow.
Main event, Donnie Furchus. Main event, Giant Warrior. 11. Imagine working 11 Friday nights in a row to 2,500 people.
Yeah.
In a place that holds 1,000 people.
That's decent.
That's Furchus.
I liked his wrestling style. I liked the way he looked. He was the old school guy with the boots, the pads, the trunks, and that was it. And he, what wouldn't you like about that?
When you come to South Africa, man, Ananzi is family of his. Sit down with Ananzi and let him tell you some Donnie Furchus stories, man. There's the best road stories. And get a hold of Jeff Bearden and sit under his tree for a while. And
I would love to.
You listen to some story. I was on a phone call once with Jeff for 4.5 hours, and all he was doing was just talking about him and Furchus.
See, I feel like I'd be like that with like someone like the Brooklyn Brawler, or someone like a Bob Backlund. I could sit and listen to them for literally hours. They could talk to me as long as they want. I don't care.
That's it.
Just sit listening. I think we mentioned this a lot of times about me coming over to South Africa. I'm stating now next year, 100% without a shadow of a doubt, I will come over at some point because some Brit has got to win the All African Championship. Let it not be you. Hey, Mark will watch this.
I know.
Mark will see this, and he'll say, I mean, it's no secret. We've all been in talks about me coming over, and sometimes the time is wrong, sometimes the time is right. I think realistically, it could have happened this year had we not had a pandemic, but next year, everyone will be safe. Travel will be easy. If there's a wrestler, if it's Wrestle Monster next year, so be it.
That's it. We'd love to have you over, man, and we'll treat you to some proper beer, a nice bra, and some awesome South African wrestling.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Chris, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. We're definitely going to do this again. We said the last time, yeah, no, we'll do it again. We're definitely going to do it again. Please do me a favor. In the beginning of the show, there's going to be an intro. We need all your information for the barracks and for your personal pages and things like that. Chris, once again, Mr. Burchill, it has been an honor to have you on the show. Man, I cannot talk you up enough, man. Cannot wait to have you here.
I appreciate it, big one. Have your boots come yet? Just out of curiosity.
No, I have ordered them. I have ordered them.
That's cool. Okay.
I have ordered them.
Well, we're halfway there. That's cool.
Yep. Well, you know what?
Thanks for having us.
We're halfway there, and I can show you a picture of Ric Flair. So there we go. We at least got something.
Okay.
We'll listen to some Bon Jovi. Chris, thank you very much for your time, man. We appreciate it. Loudmouth presents Off the Top Rope, uncensored, uncut, and definitely not politically correct.